Anti-heroes are essentially Tumblr bait, and while the MCU would consider Loki to be the god of mischief, I'd consider Tom Hiddleston's turn on the character to be the god of Tumblr. Oh man, that site in the early 2010s. What an era! Tom Hiddleston's Loki has flopped sides too many times to count, being a bad brother, terrorist to Earth, savior of Asgard, and now one of the MCU's most dependent hopes in stopping Kang and his grasp on the TVA. We love Loki because, like most of us, he's flawed and misguided, but more often than not, his heart is in the right place. Well, that and Tom's incredible charisma.
Which one of us are you?
And now, there are so many Lokis. There's Sylvie, the alligator, the kid. I love them all. It's kind of crazy to think that the same guy that murdered JFK also fought through thick and thin to save all the world's leaders during the attack of the GRC summit. Of all the characters in the MCU, at this point, James Buchanan Barnes may have the most character development. Starting off as a squeaky clean best friend to Captain America, Bucky became a brainwashed Hydra assassin with an outfit as goth as the Black Parade. After a few decades in and out of ice, along with the help of Cap and several Wakandans, the former Winter Soldier is now out there just trying to find himself. Will he fully adapt the moniker of White Wolf? Turn out to be Nomad? Just retire? There are so many possibilities here, and we can't help but be in support of whatever he decides to do. So, your plan is to hold an entire town captive to live out your perfect sitcom life with your twice-dead synthezoid boyfriend and children who were conceived by magic? You know what? I'm good with just living in my daydream, but you do you, girl. Wanda has had a rough go these last few years, from being a Hydra experiment to a pawn of Ultron to an Avenger to the reason why the Sokovia Accords were created. It's easy to understand why the Scarlet Witch is desperately trying to hold on to whatever form of normalcy and stability is in her life. Even if that form of normalcy and stability is a talking infinity stone that cooks. The jury is still out on whether or not she will end her legacy as a hero, especially with her now wielding the Darkhold and ready to enter a multiverse of madness. Regardless, any form of levity with Wanda is appreciated, and all of us will continue to root for her. The Guardians of the Galaxy aren't exactly your textbook definition for heroes. Led by a space pirate, this ragtag group consists of Thanos' adopted daughter, a hitman who also happens to be a tree, the Invisible Man, and a kleptomaniac raccoon. Of the bunch, Rocket is certainly the most anti in this group of anti-heroes. While the rest of the team have put a hold on their villainous traits, Rocket is always looking for the next item to loot. Life to him is essentially that Avengers game. Every time Rocket appears, we can't help but wonder what item he's got his eye on. Literally, I guess. After a lifetime of being experimented and probed on, Rocket can't stop himself from engineering and tinkering with these strange and unusual items. Hey, as long as he's being harmless, I will fully support his scientific endeavors.
Honestly, until this exact second, I thought you were Build-A-Bear.
Tony Stark wishes he could have Rocket's ingenuity. Black Widow's entire artificial family have red in their ledger, having blown up children, fought through thick and thin for the Soviets, and potentially even sparred Captain America. But what really matters here is their redemption. Natasha took her dubious origins and made peace with it, joining S.H.I.E.L.D., saving Earth on countless occasions, before sacrificing herself for the Soul Stone. Yelena is finding out what it's like to be a true crusader, superhero landing and all. The newfound freedom she has following the destruction of the Red Room has us cheering her on from the sidelines. Let's just hope that Valentina doesn't get to her. The Red Guardian? We don't really know what's going on with him, but I will never turn down a David Harbour appearance. Come on, Marvel! Give us a Disney Plus one-shot with Alexei and Milena raising some pigs. Wakanda was one of the most exciting developments to come out of Phase 3, featuring all sorts of surprising technologies and tribes. We were able to get a glimpse of a locale in the MCU unlike anything we've ever seen before. In addition to the gorgeous architecture and fascinating styles present, also came a whole slew of new factions, most interestingly, the Jabari tribe. Headed by M'Baku, the group originally opposed King T'Challa. Essentially, the Jabari were the hipsters of Wakanda, hating the Golden City due to its overuse of vibranium. Even though M'Baku originally despised the Black Panther, he eventually came around to supporting him when Wakanda needed him most, and has continued to defend Wakanda in both Infinity War and Endgame. With the amount of times M'Baku has been on the forefront of defending Wakanda, it's going to be interesting to see where he stands politically with the land in Black Panther Wakanda Forever. Nebula has come a long way from being Thanos' snickering adopted hench daughter. Her transition into a full-on Guardian of the Galaxy over the course of Guardians 2 and Avengers Endgame has been nothing short of phenomenal, and has made her more than just the antithesis of Gamora. One of the recurring themes on this list is characters having to be villains against their free will. The Russians developed the Black Widows in their Red Room program, the Maximovs were all but forced to join Hydra following the terrorist attacks by Stark Industries, and Bucky was also caught by that nefarious organization. Seeing these characters grow apart from their captors, like Nebula leaving Thanos, is so satisfying to watch, and we can't help but cheer for them, even if they still hold some of their villainous tendencies. While still not quite official MCU canon, we do know that the Sony Spider-Man universe exists as multiverse content that could be connected by, well, who really knows? Peter Parker talking during a life-altering spell, Sylvie killing He Who Remains, Scarlet Witch exploring the Darkhold? Whatever the reason, Eddie Brock in his big ball of Gwyneth Paltrow's goop has become a fan favorite, becoming the campy adaptation of the symbiote that Topher Grace wished he could be.
Do you remember what you did to me?
This buddy cop take on Eddie and Venom is both visually fascinating and oddly humorous in the best way possible, and we love watching Venom when he's on the prey for his next tasty victim. Speaking of multiverses, how can we not mention the Merc with the Mouth? Deadpool may just be Ryan Reynolds playing his true self, but that's why we love him. Plenty of trial and error happened with the character in the Foxverse, which eventually led to what we can all agree is the perfect incarnation of the character. Filled to the brim with pop culture references, meta humor, and gorgeously disgusting action, Deadpool is exactly how we'd expect his comic counterpart to be brought to life.
I've never said this, but don't swallow.
It was exciting to see Deadpool somewhat in the MCU alongside Korg in that promotional video for Free Guy, and that only made us more hyped to see Deadpool officially fighting alongside the Avengers. Who really knows where the Netflix universe stands within the MCU? With rumors of a certain lawyer appearing in No Way Home, it seems that the Netflix series are safe in canon. That being the case, how could we not mention Frank Castle? He's absolutely brutal at what he does, but hey, he's pretty justified. I guess that's what one bad day really does to you, huh? Regardless of who he's mowing down, you give the Punisher a target and an automated rifle, and I will be cheering for him.